Hi, it's Hope and welcome to the video. As you can tell by the thumbnail, this is going to be a book haul. This is all the books I've hauled since Christmas 2021, so it features the books that I got for Christmas and the books I got in January, February, and March of 2022. And this is my first book haul of the year. I'm going to try to go in order of like when I got them, but I can't make any promises because I know these are out of order, and I will let you know where I got them from as well. First I'll start off with my Christmas presents because I technically already did a what I got for Christmas video, but there's 4 books that I got. So I got 3 books from my parents, which one of them is Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I will say you will see another book in this series on this list. I'm going to briefly explain these books. But this is a new adult fantasy. We follow Poppy, who is a maiden. She cannot be looked upon, she cannot be touched, and she ends up getting a new guard named Hawk, and things go from there. It changes very much as the series goes on, but that's the brief premise of this book. And then I also got Glass Sword by Victoria Aveyard. I kind of already have broken the cover a little bit. Oops. This is the second book in the Red Queen series, which essentially in the first book, Red Queen, we follow Mare, who she is a red blood, and in this world there are red bloods that have no abilities and silvers that have abilities and are the nobilities, but it's discovered that Mare has powers, so she has to go to the palace and essentially fake being a silver. And yeah, I really want to try to get this whole series physically so that I can read it, like reread it, tab it, because I love this series. And then I also got Stay With Me by Jessica Consolo. This is the second book in the With Me series, the first book being She's With Me, where essentially we follow Amelia, who moves to a new town, and she has this rule of no friends. She just kind of wants to like go through her senior year with no problems, and then she meets this boy named Aiden and meets his friend group, and that changes. And then for Christmas we got like a we don't have a lot of money. You wouldn't think that with these books, but this is all my money that I don't actually really have to spend on books, but oops. But essentially we got adopted by a organization to basically they buy you a few Christmas presents, and one of those was a book, because I did mention that I liked books, and that is Wonder by R.J. Palacio. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that author's name right. And this is a middle grade, which I loved the movie of this. Essentially in this we follow Augie, who has like a kind of like a how is it described? Facial difference, that's what it's described. And this kind of like, it's prevented him from going to a mainstream school, but now he's going into 5th grade and he is going to a normal school, and it's just Augie in 5th grade. I loved the movie, as I've already said. I watched it when it first came out. I loved it. I debated reading the books, but now I'm like, I own it, so I might as well. And I also I think I only own 2 other middle grades. So yeah. And now moving on to the December 2021 Fairy Loot. It came with 2 books. So the first one is The Coldest Touch by Isabel Sterling. I don't know much about this except Elise is cursed. Every time she touches someone, she experiences how they will die. And when she predicts but is unable to prevent her brother's death, Elise is desperate to escape her terrible gift. Then she meets Claire, a vampire tasked with helping Elise master her rare powers and recruiting her to the Veil, a secret organization determined to protect the paranormal at all costs. And it's sapphic. That's all I know. I haven't really heard much about this, but yeah. And then the other book is The Year of the Reaper by Makai Lucier. I'm probably butchering that name. I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know what this is about. I don't remember. 3 years ago, Lord Cassia disappeared in the midst of a war on a mission entrusted with him by the king. Then a devastating plague has swept the land, leaving countless dead and the kingdom forever altered. Having survived a rotting prison cell and a merciless illness, Cass, now 18, wants to return to his home in the mountains and forget past horrors. But home is not what he remembers. His castle has become a refuge for the royal court, and they have brought the enemies along with them. When assassin targets those closest to the queen, Cass is drawn in search for a killer, one that leads him to form an unexpected bond with a bright young historian named Lena. Cass and Lena soon realize that who is behind the attacks is far less important than why. They must look to the past, following the trail of a terrible secret, one that could threaten the kingdom's newfound peace and plunge it back into war. I believe this is a standalone, beautiful black sprayed edges, and a beautiful cover. I am excited to read this, but when will I get to it? Who knows? And the next book is All of Us Villains by Amanda Foody and Christine Lynn Herman. This essentially is like every 20 years, or I think it's every 20 years, every generation, there is this competition to the death surrounding these families in this city, and this tournament is to the death. It is to do with who controls the magic of the city, and we are following 4 characters that are competing in this tournament. And yeah, I read this, I gave this 5 stars, I absolutely loved it, but yet I cannot spew out a good description of it. Isn't that how it always goes with me? Yeah, I don't really think I have much else to say about this. The next I'll go with is the first 3 books in the Throne of Glass series. So, Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, and Heir of Fire. The first book, Throne of Glass, we follow the assassin, Selena Sardathian, as she's been imprisoned in the Endover mines for the last year, and now she has this kind of opportunity to slightly gain her freedom. Essentially, she participates in this assassin competition. If she wins, she ends up having to work for the king for, I think it's 5 years, and then she gains her freedom. And these are the first 3 books, and I, throughout the year, will be buying the rest of the books, so expect those in future book hauls. But I kind of have been buying like 1 a month as I'm buddy reading this with a few people, so January, February, March, and April here, I'll be buying The Assassin's Blade, and probably Queen of Shadows. But yeah. Then we'll go with, this is January's Fairy Loot, and that is Only a Monster by Vanessa Lynn, which I've also read and probably will do a horrible description of. But this essentially, we follow Joan, who's a monster, and essentially, monsters in this world are able to steal time. They touch the back of your neck. They can steal whatever amount of time they want from you, like from your life, in exchange for them being allowed to time travel. And when a monster hunter named Nick crosses paths with Joan and another monster named Aaron have to go back in time to fix things. And this I did really like. Beautiful cover. It is so simple. The edges are gorgeous as well. And yeah. The next book is House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas. I also read this. I have an entire reading blog on this. But this is the second book in the Crescent City series. The first book being House of Earth and Blood, where essentially we follow half-fae Bryce Quinlan, who after a tragic event happens, 2 years later, she is then recruited by the kind of like head of the city to help solve these murders as they link back into her past and all that. This is a high fantasy world where we have like fae, angels, werewolves, merpeople, what else? There's so many other things. This is the second book in the series. I fucking love this book. Oh my god, I could just cry thinking about the ending. But yeah, I forgot to say where... Okay, I forgot to mention this book from Indigo, these 3 from Indigo, and this book from Indigo, as obviously it says Indigo exclusive. I just saw that and was like, oh shit, I thought I said that I was gonna say where I got these. The next book is The War of Two Queens by Jennifer L. Armentrout, the 4th book in the Blood and Ash series. First book is the first book is from Blood and Ash, so obviously I won't explain what this is about. This is also from Indigo. A lot of these books are either from Indigo or Fairy Loot, basically. Indigo, Fairy Loot, Christmas. But yeah, I have an entire reading blog of this as well. I'll leave the House of Sky and Breath and The War of Two Queens reading blogs in the description. The next book I got unsolicited from a publisher, and that is Boss Witch by Anne Aguirre, and this very appreciative of, and this was sent to me by Sourcebooks Calabasas. I think that's how the publisher is pronounced. And this, all I know is Clementine Waterhouse is a perfectly logical witch. She doesn't tumble headlong into love. Rather, she weighs the pros and cons and decides whether a relationship is worth pursuing. At least that's always been her modus operandi before. Clem prefers being one in charge, always the first to walk away when the time is right. Attraction has never struck her enlightening until a witch hunter comes into town. Gavin Reese hates being a witch hunter, but his family honor is on the line and he needs to prove he's nothing like his grandfather, a traitor who let everyone down. But the thing is, things in St. Clair aren't what they seem, and Gavin is distracted from the job immediately by a witching, dark-haired beauty with a sexy smile and haunting secrets in her eyes. With so much at stake for both of them, the last thing either can afford to lose is their hearts. That sounds good. I also, I flipped to a random page, and I think it might be slightly spicy, because I saw a very explicit word on a page, and I don't think that word would be mentioned if it wasn't spicy. And then the final book I'm going to mention is Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Su Lin Tan. I was like, where is it? Because books normally have it at the bottom, but it's there. And this is a Chinese-inspired fantasy where I don't really remember anything about it. I also forgot how beautiful these end pages were. I got distracted there for a second. There are many legends about my mother. Raised on the moon, Ziying was unaware she was being hidden from the Celestial Empire, who exiled her mother for stealing the elixir of immortality. But when her magic flares and Ziying's existence is discovered, she's forced to flee her home, leaving her mother behind. Alone, powerless, and afraid, Ziying makes her way to the Celestial Kingdom, a land of wonder and secrets. In disguise, she trains alongside the Emperor's son, mastering archery and magic. Despite the passion with flame between them, to rescue her mother, Ziying embarks on a quest, confronting legendary creatures and vicious enemies. But when forbidden magic threatens the kingdom, Ziying must challenge the ruthless empire, leaving her torn between losing all she loves and plunging the realm into chaos. Yeah. So yeah, that's that, and I fucking love this cover. I'm sorry, I think this is one of the most beautiful books I own. I can't think of another book that is more beautiful than this. So those are the books that I've hauled since Christmas. At least I'm pretty sure that is. Unless I forgot to track something on my spreadsheet, but I believe these are all of them. You do have to think this is about 3.5 months of books. Technically 6 of which I did not purchase because House of Sky and Breath was a birthday present from my mother, and Boss Witch was a book given to me by a publisher. And then there was the few Christmas ones. And yeah, so a lot of these were just like, I think technically also Crown of Midnight was free with a gift card I got for Christmas, I think. So when you put it that way, I didn't spend a whole lot on these books. Like, the most expensive ones were definitely the Fairy Loot books, because Fairy Loot's expensive to me, but 100% worth it. But I really hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what book you have hauled in the last, let's say, what is one book you've hauled in 2022, or have you read any of these books? Are you interested in any of these books? Let me know in the comments below. And yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and bye!